reflects that San, walking beside him, simply stands out. 10 out of 10 men who pass by turn their heads to look at her. She is a young woman who inspires everyone's envy. He can hardly believe that the two of them are actually dating. San asks if something is wrong, but San says it's nothing, only worrying about her walking pace. The students she greets are amazed, thinking she's a true lady. He asks if she's sure she wants to be in a place like that, but the young woman insists on going to the places he usually visits. Explains that she's just trying to get to know the man she's dating and hopes he doesn't mind. In front of an arcade, San suggests starting there and discovers that she has never been to a place like that before. Her confession shocks him, making him realize what it means to be an overprotected girl. Suggests that they take a look inside the arcade and readily agrees. Once inside, she is amazed by the huge number of stuffed animals. Pushed by other students, the girl falls into his arms and apologizes. Reassures her, saying he's glad she didn't get hurt and that her softness was actually quite helpful. He then points to a plush character she had mentioned liking and is surprised that he remembered. The boy notices that the prize is very popular but decides to try winning it, confident that he's good at this kind of game. With a smile, he explains that men like to look cool at times like these, leaving the girl embarrassed. 10 minutes later, is frustrated, complaining that he can't grab the prize no matter what and that it's ridiculous. Worried, she tells him he doesn't need to do all that for her. Determined, the young man insists that it's fine and that he's almost got it. A staff member approaches and asks if there's any problem. He offers to help reposition the prize if it's in a bad spot, to her surprise. The employee cheerfully says goodbye and feels annoyed for being completely ignored. He hands the plush toy to the girl and apologizes. Asks why he's apologizing, and San admits it's because he showed a not-so-cool side of himself. With a smile, she says she's happy that he tried so hard and that he has a surprisingly cute side. Hugging the gift, the young woman promises to take good care of it since it was given to her by San. After a notification on her phone says it's better to head home, and he agrees that it's already time. Suddenly, the girl grabs his hand, to his complete surprise. With a shy smile, explains that by holding hands, they can finally walk at the same pace. Embarrassed, says his hands are going to start sweating, but assures him she doesn't mind. She says goodbye, telling him she had a lot of fun and can't wait to see him tomorrow, while he thinks that San is his ideal girlfriend. A thought warns him not to be fooled, because no matter how much she seems to like him, it's all just an act. He recalls that it all began 2 months ago when he transferred to Soho Academy, a school attended by children from wealthy and famous families. However, the boy's joy didn't last long, as an incident isolated him and forced him to live a lonely school life. The turning point came when sister, San, made him a proposal. Shocked, repeats to himself her request that he pretend to be Miss Boyfriend. San explains with a smile that their mother was about to start discussions about an engagement for. The girl continues, saying she lied to her mother that already had a boyfriend to make her wait. Understanding the situation, he turns to and asks why he was the one chosen. San reveals that she was the one who chose him, but the reason for that is still a secret. Winking at, she says she's only asking because it's him, while the boy thinks about the powerful group. Apologizes for having asked this of him, but her sister comforts her and considers simply refusing since he has no obligation to accept. Hugging her sister, San promises him that if he accepts the offer, his school life will become fun. His voice calling his name brings him back to the present, and he apologizes for being distracted, remembering that he ended up accepting the job. Sitting on his bed, the young woman concludes that she was more desperate for human interaction than she thought. He asks if she feels uncomfortable visiting his house every week, but assures him that she doesn't mind. The girl comments that his family is late again and explains that his mother and brother are working. Mentions that she also doesn't get many chances to talk to her brother, who works part-time at a university. He then suggests that it would be better if she just told him not to worry, as that would help him. Pressing her hands on her knee, hesitantly agrees that what he said might be true. She suggests they repeat the session that week, promising to leave a few hours before his family returns. The boy apologizes for making her go through this every week, but she reminds him that she's his girlfriend. With her arms open, the young woman invites him to come closer, telling him not to be shy. He hugs her, but a feeling of panic overwhelms him. Her softness and sweet scent hit him as the young woman nestles against his chest. Embarrassed, pushes him away and asks him not to smell her, while the boy apologizes, frustrated. He admits that his problem is that his true feelings leak out when he touches a woman, and he thought he would get used to it. With a gentle smile, encourages him, saying it's okay, but that it's important to keep trying and not give up. Then questions whether using her body as payment for him pretending to be her boyfriend is really a good idea. With a gentle look, says that's not true, because he accepted her irrational request without asking for anything in return. She explains that's why she wants to be useful to San and have an equal relationship. The young woman continues, saying she's very grateful to be dating him and that she had fun at the arcade, finding nothing uncool about his effort. Confessing that she's never been in a relationship before, hopes she can behave in a way that won't embarrass him as her boyfriend. Feels relieved that she misunderstood his true feelings, while the girl teases him for having grown enough to make jokes. He offers her a drink to cover it up, but the young woman politely declines. As she leaves the room, the boy watches her reflection in the door. Alone, touches her blushing face, thinking about his words that she's his ideal girlfriend and hoping her redness isn't too obvious. He leans against the wall outside, thinking it's not cool to be the only one rushing things and wondering what will happen to their relationship. The boy recalls his initial motivation, that if she, the class celebrity, defended him, his loneliness would quickly come to an end. A classmate tries to calm the other students, who shout in shock upon learning that he's dating San. With a radiant smile, San tells everyone to stop the commotion and congratulate the new couple. Reflects that although she said this would brighten up his school life, he never expected it to be this much. He remembers the request to become's fake boyfriend, a promise to help her avoid an unwanted engagement. Looking out the window, the boy thinks he needs to fulfill his part of the deal, but his attention is drawn to the girl talking with another student outside. Asks the young man what he wanted to say to her. The student confronts her about the rumor that she's in a relationship with the transfer student, and the girl calmly confirms that she's dating San. Shocked, he refuses to believe it but firmly says that it's the truth, leaving him outraged. The boy reaches his hand toward her, insisting that he's much better than. With a cold and intimidating gaze, the young woman warns him not to dare touch her, making him step back in terror. Coldly rejects her classmate's proposal, stating that San is a much better person compared to him before wishing him a good day. Witnessing the scene, thinks that the way she dismisses people is brutal, and that when he's with her, he almost fools himself into believing she truly likes him. The cold image of the girl in his mind warns him not to take the role seriously, calling him shameless for acting like a real boyfriend in a mere performance. Determined, the boy decides he must make sure not to make any mistakes. Approaches his desk and, to his surprise, asks if he's free to have lunch with her. Relieved by his affirmative answer, the young woman smiles and invites him to go. On their way to the rooftop, he worries about having to buy something to eat but reassures him, revealing that she already prepared lunch for him. Stunned by the idea of a homemade meal prepared by his girlfriend, San is left speechless. She presents a luxurious bento box, explaining that she focused on meat dishes since she didn't know his preferences. Amazed by the incredible food, the boy asks if he can really eat it, and the girl confirms that she made everything especially for him. Thanking her for the meal, takes a bite and is shocked by the taste. He exclaims that the meat is incredibly tender and delicious, and is happy that he liked it, offering him some tea as well. As she serves him, the boy feels unworthy of her perfection, but reinforces his decision to fulfill his role as her boyfriend. With a smile, offers him a piece of food with her chopsticks, inviting him to open his mouth. The girl asks if he doesn't like it, explaining that it's something couples do, leaving him completely embarrassed. Mesmerized, he admires the beauty of her blue eyes and long eyelashes. Blushing, agrees and opens his mouth so she can feed him. As he chews, the boy notices that the rolled omelet has a strange texture. Suddenly, the young woman leans forward, pressing her body against his. Very close to him, she anxiously asks what the flavor is and panics at her proximity. Blushing, admits that the rolled omelet is really good, the best thing he's eaten that day, with a simple and comforting flavor. Is surprised that he liked the omelet the most, and her happy smile makes him think she's cute. He panics, telling himself not to get the wrong idea, while the girl continues eating calmly. In a flashback, a freshly made rolled omelet is shown as someone exclaims that it's ready. San praises her sister for improving so much in cooking and wonders if San will like the food she prepared. The young woman holds the bento box with a smile, keeping the secret of the special ingredient in her rolled omelet. Back in the present, reflects that he wants to do more to fulfill his role as her fake boyfriend but doesn't know how. San suggests that it would be better if he simply asked, but the boy seems hesitant. He imagines that the only answer he'll get from her is that everything is fine as it is, a sentiment that San confirms is genuine from her sister. The young woman then explains that, for now, the engagement has been postponed until their father returns next month. While thinking that there's only 1 month left in this relationship, offers to help however he can, and San suddenly gets an idea. With a radiant smile, she asks if he's free on the weekend for a favor she wants to ask of him. The young woman assures him that it's nothing difficult and that they just need him to come along. San excitedly announces that they're going to the pool, leaving completely shocked by the news. Lying on his bed, he thinks about how tomorrow he'll be going to the pool with the girls, the first time he'll meet them outside of school. Flexing his arm, the boy tries to convince himself that he's not excited or anything like that. While doing push-ups, his phone vibrates with an invitation from to a group called SSS Alliance. A photo of in a swimsuit appears on his screen. Shocked, the boy reads message explaining that they're choosing swimsuits and wanted a man's opinion. Looking at the photo, he thinks that although he'd already suspected something from her school uniform, he's never seen anything like this before, and that breasts that big really do exist. Sends a message apologizing for the suddenness and asks if it's inconvenient for him. Replies that it's no problem but admits he doesn't know much about women's swimsuits, though he thinks it looks good on her. Sitting on the floor, the boy thinks to himself that he really doesn't know what to say, since everything looks good on her anyway. Interpreting his short reply, tells a surprise that is getting excited over her swimsuits. The girl decides they need to learn more about his feelings, enthusiastically suggesting that her sister try on more swimsuits to test reactions. Praises one of the swimsuits, saying it has the bold look guys like, but finds it a little embarrassing. In a daydream, he imagines himself at the pool with the young woman, who shyly asks for his help applying sunscreen. Nervous about the situation, agrees to help, holding the bottle of lotion. Snapping out of his fantasy, the boy can hardly believe he let himself get carried away, remembering that tomorrow he'll be beside her as her boyfriend. With his face in his hands, he feels embarrassed at the thought of acting like that in front of others and then remembers he still needs to reply to the message. While looking at swimsuits, smiles at her phone screen, thinking that his reply is just like San. He answers that they all looked good, but he'd be happy if she wore the one she likes most, asking her not to send photos like that too often. Watching her sister beam at the message, thinks that if's happy then everything's fine. The next day, thanks a host on behalf of her father for the invitation to the event. The meeting place turns out to be an extremely luxurious private pool. Stunned, realizes that when rich people talk about pools, they're not referring to public ones. Laughs at his expression, saying she expected that kind of reaction, while the boy realizes they really do live in different worlds. The girl then asks what he thinks, reminding him that a boyfriend is supposed to compliment his girlfriend's outfit. Tries to remember the right words and scolds him for not putting his heart into it, though she appreciates that he remembered. With an intense look, the young woman instructs him to make sure he says it properly for real, leaving him confused about what she means. Approaches, thanking him for waiting and explaining that she took some time to greet everyone. Stunned, San stares at her in silence, mumbling to himself how cute she looks. He finally says that the swimsuit suits her so well it left him speechless. Blushing, the young woman thanks him profusely, while the boy, equally embarrassed, says he's the one who should be thankful. Expresses her happiness that he came, since it would have been lonely for them to use such a large pool alone. As her sister excitedly runs toward the water, suggests that they should join in too. The three of them have fun splashing water at each other in the pool. Sitting on a float beside her, grows tense from their closeness. With a serene smile, the young woman asks if it isn't nice to just relax while floating in the water. His heart races as he feels her skin directly against his, realizing how different her body's warmth is compared to when she's in her school uniform. Worried about having to make something up, wonders if taking photos to show their relationship is really a good idea, but thinks they'll show their feelings. He admits to himself that he has no idea what San is planning, while the young woman confidently says that if her sister said so, then it must be true. Suddenly, a wave knocks them off the float, and yells as he falls into the water, regretting that it's already late and he doesn't have his phone with him. Underwater, he accidentally pins her against the bottom of the pool, leaving shocked and blushing at the sudden closeness. The boy pulls away in a panic, almost kissing her by accident as his hand slips along her body. They surface coughing and asks if she's okay, but the girl, breathless, assures him that she is. Suddenly hugs him tightly from behind, desperately shouting for him not to look. She begs him to stay still like that, explaining that her swimsuit has come loose. The young woman thinks the bikini piece is nearby, but panics, saying he can't search while she's clinging to him like that. Desperate, calls him mean and begs him to find it for her, leaving him completely speechless as he apologizes. Appears holding the top part of his bikini, explaining with a wink that she just wanted to surprise them a little. Composing herself, assures that she isn't mad about the incident or anything like that. Her younger sister pats on the back, calling him a lucky pervert, while demands to know what she's doing. With a triumphant smile, reveals a compromising photo she secretly took of them, promising to send it later. He watches her run off to return the float, thinking she's like a storm, while laughs at the situation. With a look full of affection, the young woman says that is the sister she's proud of. Reflects that the two of them are like day and night, despite being sisters in the same class. Then turns to him, saying that he has a question to ask, doesn't he? With a sly look, she deduces that he was wondering about her relationship with. The boy admits that he was curious, but says he doesn't want to dig any deeper than that. Asks why he doesn't want to know more, and replies that everyone has things they'd rather keep secret, but that he'll listen if she ever wants to talk. The young woman laughs, commenting that his answer is just like him, and thinks to herself that if he keeps being that way, she'll. With a mysterious smile, says it's still a secret, making his heart race and prompting him to run off to the restroom. Near a vending machine, tries to calm himself down, but overhears on the phone agreeing that things are progressing just as planned. Talking to their father, the girl reassures him that is having fun and that they're only pretending to be dating, reminding him of his promise. Shocked by what he hears, wonders what the younger sister and their father are plotting. Back in the classroom, realizes that their father must know that he and San aren't really a couple. He watches the sisters interacting with other girls, who comment on how well they seem to get along. The boy considers confronting, but concludes that he has no proof and that she could easily pretend to know nothing. Feeling pressured, he fears it will be game over if he handles the situation poorly, imagining accusing him of not trusting and being unworthy. Wonders why doesn't know about the conspiracy, and he's pulled from his thoughts by his friend, who asks if he's okay. The boy introduces himself as a new friend, and planning to gather information, says he wants to know more about his friends. Excited about a potential surprise romance story, comments that San seems kinder now than she used to be. He explains that before, she was an exemplary young lady with a wall that kept others away, but still finds her as cold as ever. Guesses that maybe she's changed since started spending time with her, leading to wonder if she wasn't that close to her sister before. Suddenly approaches cheerfully, wanting to join the conversation, to his panic, as she's the last person he wanted to see. Brushes her off, saying it's a private talk between guys, and she accuses them of being perverted goblins. He explains that 99% of a guy's brain when he has a girlfriend is filled with perverted thoughts, a fact notes down as new knowledge. The friend then reminds him that his girlfriend is waiting for him, leaving confused. At the classroom door, watches him in silence. Says goodbye and leaves the classroom while and cheerfully wave at him. The young woman apologizes for making him wait, but he assures her he doesn't mind as they walk together. The boy admits with a smile that he's getting used to the class thanks to her, though to be honest, he only really talks to. Listens attentively as he invites her to his house to talk about something important. He follows her to a playground, confused by the place she chose to go. The young woman explains that she used to play there as a child, and is surprised that it's so close to his home. Her attention is drawn to one of the wooden structures, which she notices is still there, though now broken. He comments that she suddenly seems like a tomboy as she balances on the beam, and agrees with a smile. A sudden gust of wind knocks her off balance, making her cry out as she falls backward. The boy catches her to break the fall, and the two end up on the ground, surprised and embarrassed by the situation. As he falls on top of her, his hand accidentally squeezes her chest, making her gasp as watches the scene speechless. He immediately pulls away in a panic, shouting apologies and explaining that his instincts made him grab her and hold on tightly. Dusting off her skirt, the young woman thanks him for saving her and says it was her own carelessness. While the boy laughs nervously at the lucky, awkward situation, assumes that this must be one of the scenarios had warned her about. Abruptly changing the subject, he says there's something he wants to ask her. The boy starts to ask if it's possible that her father might actually be on his side, but the girl encourages him to ask anything he wants. Her cold and negative response freezes the atmosphere and immediately begins to wonder if San might also be against her. When the boy questions whether is truly on her side, reassures him with a smile, saying that having him and her sister is enough. He quickly corrects himself, gesturing in panic that he was only speaking hypothetically and didn't mean to imply anything bad. With a small smile, assures him that it's fine and that she isn't angry, leaving him confused by her calmness. Reveals that he's already realized is hiding something, leaving him shocked and wondering why. The young woman explains that she's sensitive to lies, perhaps because she's been surrounded by deceitful adults since childhood. The boy reflects that he always thought innocent young people would believe anything, while she explains that she would notice any deceit from him immediately, since she considers him an honest person. He asks how she's able to notice lies, and the girl points out that his belief about touching a woman revealing his feelings isn't exactly normal. Stretching on the bar, asks if he forgives those who lie to him. The boy replies that it depends on the situation, and she says it's fine because is only fulfilling her wish. He teases her, asking if she really wanted to go out with him, and the young woman becomes completely flustered by the question. Blushing, she stammers that she didn't ask to do that for her. The girl admits that she found him interesting, and that's why she liked him, making laugh nervously at the confession. She confesses that the more time they spent together, the more she felt drawn to him, while the boy reflects that it no longer matters whether she's lying or not. To him, the only thing that matters is that she makes him believe in her. Recalls the promise she made with when they were children, to never leave each other alone. He then remembers the promise made to him that she would bring joy to his youth. With a gentle smile, the young says that whether he believes it or not in the end, he only has one choice: to believe. Apologizes for starting such a strange conversation, but says she doesn't mind, only wondering if she hasn't explained her feelings well enough. The girl then begins a long praise of her sister, describing her as cute, honest, and loyal, making him think he's triggered something strange in her. She continues her monologue about how brings light into their lives, expressing how proud she is to have such a wonderful sister. As the car finally arrives, he concludes that aside from her sister complex, she's perfect. Approaches them, asking what their plans are and if he still wants to discuss things with. The boy explains that he can't relax while he still owes others favors, and the girl calls him a very serious boy. With a smile, says she understands and lets her hand slide into, as she calls him by name. Grabbing his tie with a firm grip, she directly asks if he overheard the conversation she had on the day they went to the pool. The boy is stunned by the sudden question, and the girl clicks her tongue, concluding that he did hear everything. Moving closer with a teasing smile, presses him, wanting to make sure he really heard the whole conversation. He tries to stammer an excuse, saying he's still debating whether that suspicious talk was true, which makes her hug him and exclaim that he definitely heard it. With a pleading look, the young woman asks him to please forget what she said and keep acting as usual. Assures him that even if he doesn't believe her, she has no bad intentions, and reluctantly agrees to accept her apology. He then surprises her by declaring that he's decided to believe in her, leaving the girl completely shocked. Asks why she chose him despite knowing about his bad habits, but insists that she would never leave San alone. Clutching her hand tightly against her chest, says she only wants to fulfill her older sister's wishes. Asks if she won't be found out, since it's true that lies don't work on. With a playful wink, the young woman replies that, in any case, her sister probably doesn't know the details. The boy reflects on the incredible mutual understanding between the sisters when his phone rings. Seeing a message from San, says they'd better get going. He says goodbye and the girl waves back with a cheerful bye. Alone, remembers she forgot to tell him that she was wrong about his bad habits and nervously thinks about how nice he is. While runs back out of breath, the girl decides she'll just tell him next time. He apologizes too for making her wait and she reassures him, happy that he had a good talk with. The young woman laughs and is pleased to hear that he understood many things, teasing him for worrying too much. With a shy look, says that since they're together, she wants to make the most of their time. Reflects on how casually speaks to him as they walk together. He then asks San what she thinks about their relationship. The boy clarifies, wanting to know if she's having fun, confessing that for him, it's really nice to be with her. With a radiant smile, the young woman says she's very happy and that she's also having a lot of fun spending time with him. Reflects that she used to wonder what it would be like to date someone, and now, thanks to him, she feels she understands a little. She praises him for being such a considerate boyfriend, and San agrees that it's a good thing. The boy then says he'll be in her care from now on. With an equally happy smile, the girl agrees and says the same. He thinks that he wants to see her smile all the time, but realizes he's getting ahead of himself by believing they're actually dating. A flashback reveals that miserable life began when he failed the entrance exam for Soho Academy's elementary division. Remembers giving his all to follow in the footsteps of his mother and brother and attend the same school as them. His mother tried to comfort him after the exam, telling him he didn't need to be sad and that he wasn't like his brother. She insisted it wasn't a big deal if he couldn't go to the same school, while the boy clenched his hands tightly on his knees. He reflects that although those words were meant to comfort him, they still haunt him to this day and left a deep scar. His mother, to whom he's immensely grateful, was always kind, advising him not to compare himself to his excellent brother. However, felt as though she was telling him he didn't need to meet their expectations, a feeling that remained vague and unresolved. Feeling rotten inside and driven by frustration, he buried himself in his studies until his hard work was finally rewarded with his transfer to Soho Academy. Sitting on a bench, the boy thinks that maybe at last he's reached the starting line. Sudden appearance startles him, making him jump back with a cry of surprise. Thrown off balance by his movement, the young woman falls. Apologizes and offers his hand to help her up, while worries to herself whether she's wearing cute underwear. The girl regains her composure and apologizes for startling him like that. She asks if he's okay and explains that he was just reminiscing about old memories, mentioning that his older brother graduated from that school. Surprised, says she'd like to meet him, since she doesn't get many chances to greet him. The boy laughs awkwardly, describing his brother as perfect, smart, and handsome, unlike himself. He imagines that and his brother would make a perfect couple. The young woman agrees that his brother sounds amazing, but asks if San isn't already good enough as he is, while he laments that his bad habit has shown itself again. With a serious look, asks if he doesn't believe her. He replies that he doesn't think lying suits her, and the girl calls him a dense boyfriend for not believing her. With a determined smile, promises to remind him every time until he accepts that San is amazing. With a smile, says that he has a foul mouth but is a good guy, someone who never expects anything in return and whose words are always sincere. He listens, embarrassed, as she continues, saying that even though he complains about not being able to do things, in the end, he's always the one who tries the hardest. With a radiant smile, the young woman declares that he's a wonderful boyfriend and that she truly hopes everyone will recognize that. Covers his face, saying he gets it already, and finds his flustered reaction cute as well. The boy then suggests that maybe he should return the favor, and she confidently challenges him to try. With a satisfied smile, explains that receiving compliments is an everyday thing for her, so she doesn't get embarrassed easily. Begins to praise her, saying that she's very beautiful, stylish, and that her silky hair is truly gorgeous. The young woman tries to hide her shyness, commenting that she's heard many compliments like those before. He then surprises her by saying that it's not her looks that truly attract him, but the fact that she has a beautiful heart. Explains that while everyone calls her cold, he sees a kind person who says harsh things for the sake of others and sincerely seeks a relationship built on equality. He confesses that because she's always so straightforward, it's something dazzling for someone as twisted as him. Completely embarrassed and at a loss for words, the girl can barely form a response to his compliment. The boy admits that he doesn't feel confident praising someone, since having a girlfriend like her would make anyone feel like they're dreaming. The young woman falls silent, completely defeated by his unexpected sincerity. With a satisfied smile, watches her reaction and thinks that she has an unexpectedly cute side. Hidden nearby, a few classmates watch them, expressing a mix of envy and admiration at the sweet scene between the two.